Tired of people crossing the line? Discover the quiet strength of the INFJ female and learn how to navigate difficult situations with grace and resilience. She sets firm boundaries and protects herself with unwavering self-respect. Are you ready to unleash your inner INFJ? You've probably heard about alpha and beta females, but let's talk about the INFJ female. She's the woman who operates on her own terms, doesn't play by anyone else's rules, and makes her own decisions. While traditional female archetypes are defined by their relationships with others, INFJ females are more about self-sufficiency and maintaining peace within themselves. They don't need validation or approval from others. Instead, they create their own path, and trust me, they're not afraid to walk away when things don't align with their values. But here's the thing. Being an INFJ female doesn't mean life is a breeze. In fact, it comes with its own set of challenges, especially when it comes to people who think they can take advantage of her. Betrayal, disrespect, emotional manipulation, these are just a few of the struggles INFJ females often face. People who cross the line with an INFJ will quickly find out that she doesn't tolerate nonsense. But even the strongest woman can find herself in tough situations that test her patience and resilience. So how does she handle it? How does she protect herself when someone crosses the line? People who hurt an INFJ female always face one of these 8 consequences. And trust me, they never see it coming. Point 1. She walks away with no explanation. INFJ females don't need to justify their decisions. If you're toxic, she cut you out without drama. This trait is one of the most powerful yet misunderstood aspects of an INFJ female's behavior. Many people assume that every relationship, whether personal or professional, requires closure or an explanation. But for an INFJ female, the need for closure doesn't exist because her peace of mind and emotional well-being are her top priority. When she senses that a person is no longer serving her in a positive way, whether it's a friend, romantic partner, or even a colleague, she doesn't hesitate to walk away. No drawn-out conversations, no begging for understanding, just the simple act of removing herself from the situation. This doesn't come from a place of malice. Rather, it comes from a place of self-respect and emotional intelligence. She understands that not everyone is meant to stay in her life, and that's okay. The moment she identifies toxic behavior, manipulative tendencies, or anything that disrupts her peace, she chooses to distance herself. The INFJ female's ability to walk away is rooted in her strong sense of self. She knows exactly who she is, what she values, and what she deserves. If someone isn't aligning with those values, she doesn't feel the need to explain herself or beg for validation. She recognizes that she doesn't owe anyone a justification for protecting herself. When she walks away, it's because she has already weighed the cost of staying in the relationship, and the price isn't worth paying. She doesn't need to entertain drama or guilt. She doesn't need anyone's permission to set boundaries. If a person continuously disrespects her, lies, or manipulates her emotions, she simply moves on. The beauty of this is that the INFJ female does it with grace. It's not about cutting people off recklessly or impulsively. It's about being deliberate in her choices. She doesn't get caught up in the mess of trying to change someone who doesn't want to change. She understands that if someone's behavior doesn't align with her values, there's nothing to discuss. She's not interested in explaining herself because she doesn't need validation to move forward. Walking away with no explanation also means that she's emotionally prepared for the fallout. Not everyone will understand why she left, and that's perfectly fine with her. The INFJ female doesn't live her life to please others or to meet their expectations. She doesn't concern herself with how others will perceive her decisions. Instead, she focuses on her own growth and mental health. She doesn't expect anyone to get it or understand her because the only opinion that truly matters is hers. When she cuts ties, it's not for attention, and it's certainly not to get a reaction. It's simply her taking charge of her life and making sure that no one's negative energy will drag her down. And because she has the inner strength to walk away, it often leaves the other person stunned. They're left to figure out what happened, which, in a way, is its own kind of consequence. For the INFJ female, walking away is a reminder of her emotional strength and her ability to make tough decisions without being swayed by external factors. In the end, the true power comes from her ability to walk away with no explanation and move forward knowing she's protecting her peace and her future. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe if you haven't already. We'd love to hear your thoughts. 2. She builds an unbreakable wall. Once trust is shattered, it's not easily rebuilt. If you betray her, you're locked out. No second chances. This is one of the most defining traits of the INFJ female. Trust isn't something she gives out freely, and once you break it, you'll find it incredibly difficult to get it back. The INFJ female doesn't forgive and forget easily. While she's calm, composed, and often open to giving people the benefit of the doubt in the beginning, once you cross that line, she becomes impenetrable. It's not a decision she makes lightly. She doesn't just snap or become overly emotional. It's a calculated and deliberate move. The moment you break her trust, whether through lies, betrayal, or disrespect, you are instantly put on the other side of a barrier that she builds around herself. And that barrier isn't something you can break down with apologies or sweet words. Once that wall is built, you've lost your chance at being close to her again. This wall isn't about anger, but about protecting herself from further pain. She understands the value of emotional security and doesn't allow others to disrupt her peace once they've shown their true colors. When a person betrays her, she doesn't engage in endless conversations trying to work things out. She doesn't argue or plead for understanding. She just locks herself off from them completely. The INFJ female's wall is silent, strong, and steadfast. There's no need for drama, no need for further explanation. She simply removes herself from the situation. What's important to understand is that this isn't about her being cold or heartless. It's about self-preservation. She knows that once someone shows a lack of loyalty or respect, they no longer deserve a place in her life. It's a way of showing herself the same level of respect she demands from others. And she demands loyalty. When that trust is gone, there's no working through it. The INFJ female doesn't waste time trying to rebuild something that was already damaged. It's not worth the emotional toll. And she doesn't have the energy to give to people who have already proven they can't be trusted. Her emotional strength comes from knowing that she's better off alone than with someone who doesn't have her best interests at heart. When someone betrays her, it's like they've committed an unforgivable act. It's not about revenge. It's about protecting her heart and her sanity. She's learned that second chances are often wasted on people who don't appreciate them, and she won't let herself be a part of that cycle. The wall she builds is her way of taking back control, of choosing her own peace over the chaos that betrayal can bring. Once you've crossed that line, there's no coming back, and the INFJ female doesn't feel guilty about it. She doesn't waste time wondering if she should have given someone another chance. She understands that once trust is gone, so is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. And the INFJ female doesn't waste time building relationships on shaky ground. If you betray her, you'll never get another shot. You're locked out, and she's perfectly fine with that. The wall she builds isn't about shutting people out permanently. It's about protecting herself from further hurt and keeping her life free from toxic energy. Once you break her trust, that wall is therefore good, strong, unyielding, and unbreakable. 3. She becomes emotionally distant. INFJ females can detach from emotions quickly. They've mastered the art of shutting down to protect their hearts, leaving no room for manipulation. This is a skill many people misunderstand about INFJ females. While they may appear calm and composed on the surface, when someone betrays their trust or tries to manipulate them emotionally, they can flip a switch and become emotionally distant in an instant. It's not an overreaction or a defense mechanism. They use lightly, it's a survival strategy. INFJ females know the importance of protecting their emotional well-being, and when they sense that someone is trying to take advantage of their kindness, trust, or vulnerability, they immediately put up a wall. The INFJ female doesn't let herself get swept away in emotional drama or manipulation. She can easily detach from a situation, regardless of how emotionally charged it might be. This ability is often a result of past experiences where they've learned that getting too emotionally involved can leave them vulnerable to hurt. When they detect someone trying to play with their emotions, they recognize the danger and shut it down quickly. There's no hesitation. Once they pull back emotionally, it's almost impossible for anyone to reel them back in. Unlike others, who might get caught in emotional turmoil or confusion, INFJ females are clear-headed and rational when it comes to their own hearts. They've built emotional resilience over time, learning to detach from unhealthy relationships or toxic situations without losing their inner peace. When an INFJ female becomes emotionally distant, it's a sign that she's protecting herself. She won't waste time or energy on someone who doesn't have her best interests at heart. This isn't about punishing the other person. It's simply about putting up a boundary that ensures she's not emotionally manipulated or drained. The INFJ female knows that her time and energy are precious, and she refuses to let anyone take advantage of that. This detachment isn't coldness or heartlessness, though it might seem that way to others. It's simply emotional self-defense. INFJ females have learned the hard way that people who are manipulative, disrespectful, or untrustworthy don't deserve access to their emotions. They've seen the damage caused by letting someone in who doesn't have the capacity to appreciate or care for them the way they deserve. So, when an INFJ female closes herself off emotionally, it's because she knows that allowing her feelings to get tangled up in manipulation or emotional games only leads to pain. She doesn't have time for emotional instability. She's learned that when she stays emotionally distant, she's able to think clearly and make decisions that are in her best interest. This emotional detachment doesn't mean she doesn't care about others. It just means that she won't allow anyone to use her emotions against her. She's not afraid to walk away from a relationship, friendship, or situation if it means protecting her heart from further harm. For INFJ females, emotional distance is the ultimate protection. It keeps them from being manipulated, drained, or taken for granted. Once they sense emotional manipulation, they know exactly how to turn off the emotional switch and keep their hearts safe from those who seek to exploit them. It's not something they do out of malice. They just understand their own worth and won't allow anyone to take advantage of it. When they shut down emotionally, it's because they know their peace and well-being are far more important than any relationship or emotional connection that isn't built on respect. If this is resonating with you, give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. What's the worst betrayal you faced? And remember, hit subscribe for more. 4. She finds her peace, no matter what. When people try to disrupt her calm, the INFJ female finds her center. She meditates, does yoga, or just enjoys her solitude because peace is priceless. This is one of the most important qualities of the INFJ female. She knows that inner peace is non-negotiable and that no one, not even a romantic partner, has the right to steal that from her. When life gets chaotic, when people are disrespectful, or when someone tries to push her buttons, she doesn't react with anger or frustration. Instead, she finds a way to center herself, to reclaim her calm, and to protect her emotional well-being. The INFJ female has learned the art of managing her emotions, especially in situations where others would get caught up in drama or frustration. She's developed the ability to maintain peace in the midst of chaos because she values her mental health above all else. While others might lose themselves in negativity or turmoil, the INFJ female knows that her peace is what keeps her grounded, clear-headed, and strong. No matter what is happening around her, she has a toolkit to find her center. Whether it's taking a few deep breaths, going for a walk in nature, practicing meditation, or even doing yoga, she knows how to step back from a stressful situation and create a space of calm. This ability to find peace is something the INFJ female has cultivated over time. It's not something that comes easily, especially when the world around her seems to be in constant motion. But through self-discipline and a deep understanding of herself, she has learned how to create an emotional sanctuary. And when she's in this state of peace, nothing can disturb her. People, friends, or even family members may try to throw her off balance, but the INFJ female won't let anyone invade her tranquility. She knows that her peace is sacred and that she must protect it at all costs. While others might try to manipulate or provoke her, she won't bite. She's learned that reacting to negativity only drains her energy, and she's not willing to waste her time or emotions on things that don't serve her well-being. The INFJ female's approach to life is to remain calm in all situations. When others get caught up in drama or emotional turmoil, she steps back and evaluates the situation with clarity. She doesn't let herself be pulled into unnecessary conflicts or negative patterns. Instead, she creates a space where she can breathe, reflect, and make decisions based on her inner peace. This is why her peace is priceless. She knows that being at peace allows her to make the best decisions for herself and to navigate difficult situations with grace. When the outside world is chaotic, the INFJ female finds comfort in her own company. She understands the power of solitude and how it helps her recharge. Whether she's spending time in nature, reading, or simply sitting in quiet reflection, she finds strength in moments of stillness. This solitude is her time to reconnect with herself, to nurture her soul, and to ensure that her peace isn't disturbed by the noise of the world around her. For INFJ females, peace is the foundation of everything. Without it, they can't think clearly, make sound decisions, or even enjoy life. And that's why, when people or anyone else tries to disrupt her calm, she immediately takes action to protect her peace. She understands that it's not just about avoiding stress, it's about creating a life where she can thrive emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And for the INFJ female, that peace is absolutely priceless. 5. She takes the high road. She won't play petty games or sink to your level. She rise above the drama and make you look foolish in the process. This is one of the most powerful characteristics of the INFJ female. When faced with conflict, whether in a relationship, at work, or among friends, she doesn't engage in childish back and forths or try to prove herself through drama. Instead, she rises above it all, keeping her dignity intact. When others try to provoke her or draw her into unnecessary arguments, she doesn't let herself get pulled down to their level. INFJ females know that engaging in petty drama only wastes time and energy, neither of which they have to spare. They've learned that the best way to handle conflict is not to participate in the toxic cycle of blame and emotional manipulation. Instead, they stay calm, composed, and remain true to themselves. While others might get caught up in the mess of gossip, insults, or trying to win the argument, the INFJ female knows that real strength is in walking away from the drama. She doesn't need to stoop to low tactics to feel powerful. Her confidence comes from within, and that's what sets her apart. INFJ females are secure in who they are and know that their self-worth isn't tied to others' opinions or the drama they create. If someone tries to bait her into a confrontation or insults her, she simply doesn't respond. She doesn't waste her time trying to get the last word. She understands that engaging in petty behavior only takes her out of her emotional balance, which she's worked so hard to maintain. Instead of falling into the trap of reacting emotionally, she keeps her cool and rises above the situation. In fact, by refusing to engage, she ends up making the person who tried to drag her into the drama look foolish. When they see that she's not affected by their petty behavior, it often leaves them scrambling for a reaction that never comes. And that in itself is a victory. The INFJ female knows that the real power lies in restraint. The more you try to pull her down into the muck, the more you reveal your own weaknesses. She's not interested in proving herself to anyone. She already knows who she is and what she stands for. It's not her job to convince others of her worth. By refusing to lower herself to someone else's level, she maintains her dignity and makes the other person look small. She shows them that she doesn't need to engage in negative behavior to gain respect or control. The INFJ female understands that playing games or fighting over petty issues only strengthens the other person's hold over you. By refusing to engage, she takes back her power. It's an act of quiet strength that speaks volumes. When everyone else is caught up in the drama and chaos, the INFJ female stands firm and composed, and that's what people respect the most. She doesn't need to make a scene or engage in back-and-forth arguments. Her power lies in her ability to remain calm, collected, and unshaken in the face of adversity. She takes the high road not because it's easy, but because it's the path that keeps her peace intact and her self-respect unbroken. And in the end, it's the ones who try to drag her into the mess that end up looking foolish. Enjoying the flow? Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's keep going. 6. She turns the tables. If you try to hurt her, she might just turn around and show you how it feels. INFJ females don't always seek revenge, but if it happens, it's impactful. When someone crosses an INFJ female, they quickly learn that she isn't someone who will take things lying down. She's not the type to start drama or seek revenge immediately, but she has a quiet strength that allows her to turn situations around in ways that leave others stunned. INFJ females don't react out of impulse or emotion. Instead, they take their time to process what's happened and determine the best course of action. They know that, in many cases, the best response to someone who tries to hurt them is not to retaliate in the moment. But that doesn't mean they're passive. When the time is right, an INFJ female can show you the consequences of your actions in a way that you'll never forget. The beauty of it is that she doesn't need to get her hands dirty. She doesn't play petty games, and she doesn't need to be confrontational. Instead, she operates with precision and control. If you've hurt her or disrespected her, she finds a way to make you feel what you've made her feel, but she won't do it in the way you expect. INFJ women have a unique ability to stay calm and measured, even in the face of betrayal or mistreatment. And when they do decide to strike back, it's calculated, strategic, and highly effective. One of the reasons INFJ women turn the tables so successfully is because they understand the power of silence. They don't need to shout or make a scene to get their point across. They know that their actions speak louder than words. So, when someone betrays them, they might pull away, stop engaging, and leave the other person to figure out what went wrong. The sudden disappearance of attention, affection, or emotional investment is often enough to make the person who hurt her realize their mistake. This withdrawal is a silent form of power that can be far more impactful than any loud confrontation. An INFJ female doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't have to get into a back-and-forth argument. She simply removes herself from the situation, leaving the other person in a position where they have to question their own actions and deal with the fallout. But the INFJ female is not malicious. She doesn't hurt others for the sake of hurting them. If she turns the tables, it's because she wants to show you that there are consequences to your behavior. She's not out for revenge, but she will not let you get away with disrespecting her. When she decides to teach you a lesson, she does it in a way that makes you regret your actions. It's not dramatic or over the top. It's subtle and effective. Her power lies in her ability to use her emotional distance and strength to make someone feel the sting of their own behavior. INFJ women never need to act out of bitterness or anger. Instead, they know that life has a way of balancing itself out. And when you try to hurt them, they trust that the universe will deliver a lesson in the most impactful way possible. If they need to show you how it feels, they will do it in a way that ensures you never make the same mistake again. It's this quiet strength, this ability to turn the tables without drama, that makes the INFJ female so captivating. You may think you've won, but she's already 3 steps ahead, waiting for the right moment to make you regret your actions. 7. She's no longer available. Once an INFJ is done, she's out. No explanations, no closure, just her walking away to a better life. This is a key trait of the INFJ female, and it's one of the most powerful ways she protects her peace and emotional well-being. When an INFJ decides she's done with someone or something, there's no dragging it out. She doesn't believe in prolonging relationships, friendships, or situations that no longer serve her. Once she's reached her limit, she walks away without hesitation. There's no need for lengthy explanations or dramatic confrontations. She's made her decision and she moves on. For INFJ females, walking away is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It takes a lot of emotional maturity and self-awareness to recognize when something isn't working and to cut ties without regret. She understands that life is too short to invest energy in situations or people who drain her, and she refuses to waste another second on them. The INFJ female doesn't owe anyone an explanation when she walks away. She doesn't feel the need to justify her decision or try to make the other person understand. Her self-worth isn't dependent on anyone else's approval, so when she's done, she simply lets go. This is where the difference lies between the INFJ female and others who might feel compelled to explain their actions. While others might feel guilty or anxious about leaving things unresolved, the INFJ female knows that her peace is more important than closure. In fact, she realizes that sometimes there's no closure to be had because the situation is simply over. She's walked away, and that's enough for her. Once the decision is made, there's no going back. The INFJ female doesn't entertain second thoughts or reopen old wounds. She doesn't spend time questioning herself or wondering if she made the right choice. She's confident in her decision because she knows that walking away is the healthiest thing for her. This ability to let go without regret is a sign of emotional maturity. Many people struggle with the idea of leaving relationships or situations behind, often hoping for things to improve or fearing the unknown, but the INFJ female has no such fears. She trusts that her decision to move on will lead to something better, something that aligns with her values and brings her peace. She doesn't get caught up in emotional entanglements or hold on to toxic connections out of fear of being alone. She's comfortable with herself and knows that her happiness doesn't depend on anyone else. When the INFJ female is done, she's truly done. She doesn't look back, doesn't check in, and certainly doesn't second-guess her decision. She moves forward with her life, seeking new experiences, new opportunities, and new connections that align with her energy. And the best part? She doesn't need closure because she's already healed herself from the situation. The INFJ female walks away to a better life because she knows that she deserves it. She's done with anything or anyone that holds her back. And she moves forward with the confidence that there's something better ahead. It's not about revenge, it's not about making a scene, it's simply about choosing herself. No explanations, no regrets, just the quiet strength of a woman who knows when to walk away and create a life that truly serves her. 8. She becomes untouchable. After a betrayal, an INFJ female might not ever let you get close again. You've lost your chance, and now she's untouchable, doing better without you. This is one of the most defining and powerful aspects of the INFJ female. When someone betrays her trust, she doesn't just walk away or let the situation slide. She builds a wall so strong that it's almost impossible for anyone to break through again. Betrayal doesn't just sting, it changes everything. And when an INFJ female is hurt, she doesn't look back. Once she realizes she can't trust someone, there's no going back. You've lost your place in her life permanently. Unlike others who might forgive, forget, or allow space for reconciliation, the INFJ female knows her worth. She knows that someone who's willing to betray her will never deserve the kind of trust, love, or energy she has to offer. The INFJ female's strength lies in her ability to detach emotionally from the situation. When she's hurt, she doesn't let herself spiral into sadness, anger, or confusion. Instead, she goes into protective mode, ensuring that no one will ever get that close again. She might not express her pain openly, but inside she's made up her mind. The moment a betrayal occurs, you've lost your chance to be close to her, and that's final. The most shocking part about this is that she doesn't even need to make a big deal out of it. There's no dramatic confrontation or emotional breakdown. She simply starts building distance between you and herself, pulling away until you realize that you're no longer in her orbit. The INFJ female isn't one to chase after people who've shown their true colors. She has better things to focus on, like her own growth, her goals, and her happiness. Once you've betrayed her, she'll show you that life goes on, and she's doing just fine without you. In fact, she's probably doing better. Betrayal has a way of showing her the true nature of the people around her, and when she cuts someone off, it's not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. Her life improves because she no longer has to carry the emotional weight of toxic relationships. She frees herself from people who have shown that they can't be trusted. And by doing so, she opens up space for the things and people who truly deserve her energy. The more you try to reach her after the betrayal, the further she moves away. She becomes untouchable, not out of arrogance, but because she knows her worth and doesn't have time for those who don't respect her. She's not bitter. She's just done. And while others may try to re-enter her life or apologize for what they did, the INFJ female knows that once someone has broken her trust, it's over. She doesn't need validation from them to feel whole again. She knows that her peace, her worth, and her happiness are more important than holding on to relationships that no longer serve her. She becomes untouchable because she's stronger, wiser, and more focused on herself than ever before. You've lost your chance, and she's moved on to bigger and better things. The best part? She doesn't look back. The INFJ female doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. She's already thriving without the people who betrayed her. And that's exactly how she likes it. Let's take Anna's story. She'd been dating Mark for months. At first, he seemed like the perfect guy. He was charming, attentive, and they had great chemistry. Everything felt right. But after a while, things started to change. Mark began showing signs of emotional manipulation. He would ghost Anna when it suited him, disappearing for days and then reappearing like nothing had happened. During these absences, Anna would feel confused and unsure of where she stood with him. Yet, when he did come around, he would pretend like everything was fine, leaving her to question her own feelings. It wasn't just the ghosting, it was the constant emotional roller coaster. He'd act distant one day and overly affectionate the next. Anna, despite her strength and independence, started to feel emotionally drained. The final straw came during a conversation where Mark blatantly disrespected her. They were talking about something important to Anna, something that mattered to her, and instead of listening, Mark undermined her feelings. He made her feel small, dismissed her concerns, and essentially shut her down. That moment was the tipping point. Anna, an INFJ female to the core, knew right then and there that it was over. She didn't need to argue or defend herself. She didn't yell, didn't try to convince him that she deserved better. Instead, she simply walked away. In that moment, she realized that her peace and her emotional well-being were worth more than any relationship or person who didn't value her. She didn't feel anger, just a calm sense of finality. The next week, Mark tried to reach out. He sent texts, left voicemails, and even tried calling her multiple times. But by then, Anna had completely moved on. She wasn't angry. She wasn't hurt. She was simply living her life without him. She was out with her friends, enjoying herself, doing things she loved. She felt lighter, freer, and more in control of her life than ever before. Mark didn't stand a chance of getting back into her world, and that was the beauty of it. She didn't need revenge. The best thing she could do was continue living her life better than before without him. The emotional satisfaction she felt from that moment, priceless. It wasn't about hurting him back or proving a point. It was about the empowerment that came from taking back control of her life. She showed herself and anyone watching that she was stronger than any betrayal or disrespect thrown her way. She moved on without looking back. In a world that often tries to push women into certain roles, the INFJ female stands firm on her own. She doesn't let betrayal, manipulation, or disrespect define her. Instead, she defines herself. She sets clear boundaries, protects her peace, and navigates through life with grace, no matter how much chaos surrounds her. When it's time to walk away from something or someone that doesn't serve her, she does it with unwavering strength. She doesn't need to explain herself, nor does she seek validation from anyone. No one can mess with her for long because she knows her worth, and she won't settle for less. The NFJ female is a force to be reckoned with, and if you try to cross her, you'll quickly learn that she's not someone to be taken lightly. So, what about you? Have you ever had to stand up for yourself when someone crossed the line? Have you ever had a moment where you had to walk away for your own peace? Drop your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear it and share in that sense of empowerment. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out our next video on mastering the art of self-respect. Trust me, you won't want to miss. It's packed with tips to help you strengthen your own boundaries and embrace your inner strength.